Okay. All right. So yesterday, how far did you go? I think we just went over the strategies, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So from the things we went through yesterday, are there any questions before we officially begin?
I think I'll ask on the way.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, so well, today we're going to start from MetaTrader 4, going about it and actually showing you guys how to execute the easy SMB and the extreme SMB. Then we'll go over investing.com. Okay, so when it comes to placing the trades, this is the app that you guys will actually be using. It's called MetaTrader. This is how it looks. Now, when you first open the application, you land on this page, the code section. This is how it looks. Here you can just be able to, what it does here is it shows you a list of currency pairs that you can use to trade. Now, sometimes not all currency pairs will be listed here because there's hundreds of currency pairs that exist in general. Now, in the case where like you're looking for a currency pair, it's not listed here. How you add it to this list, just by clicking on plus, then it's going to show you the list of folders that you can look through. And within those folders, you most likely find the currency pair you're looking for. Just tap on it and come back to the code section. And see that it's added at the bottom here. So all this page does is shows you a list of currency pairs. And from there, you can select the one that you want to actually trade with. Are there any questions for one?
I'm all right.
Okay. All right. So the next page that we're going to focus on is, or not really. The next page is the charts page. This part isn't really important for us because we don't use charts to know when we're going to place our entries, when we're going to place our entries. It only becomes necessary to us when we want to see price move in real time. Because in real time, you'll be able to see these candlesticks, these bars here. You'll be able to see them elongate or shorten in real time and so on. I think that's when it makes sense for us to come here and so on. But otherwise, in general, when it comes to trading, we don't really use charts. Moving on, just give me 1 second. The next part of the app is the trade section here. Now, here is where your focus is going to be because it shows the positions that you've opened. It shows the balance, the equity, free margin, margin level, and margin, and so on. It even shows you your net profit and your net loss here at the top here. Now, you notice that the whole app is in blue. For this app, when you see blue, especially on the trade section here, when you see blue, that means all your trades are in a net profit. But when you see red, that means all your positions, when you add them up, they're in a net loss and so on. So blue means profit, then red means loss and so on. If anything, they should have made it green because that way it makes more sense. But anyway, blue is profit. So this is where your focus is going to be. You'll be able to see your positions here and just, you'll be able to close them here as well. So to close the position like this, all you have to do is swipe it to the left and this curtain is going to appear like a menu. Then from here, just click on the check. Then it will take you to a verification page where it asks you to actually close the trade at the bottom here. So yeah, this is where your focus is going to be. Then when it comes to actually placing a trade, just click on the plus icon here. That looks like a SIM card. Then you're going to be brought to this part of the app. Here is where you actually place a trade. So you can select the type of trade you want to place. You can enter how much currency you want to buy, and you can put stop losses, take profits, deviations, and actually place the order here. Now for the easiest NB, what we want to do first is change the type of order that we want to place. So instant execution, that's not the order we want to place. Now to change this, just tap on it, then it's going to bring a drop-down menu like this. Then from here, the menu, the last two options are what we want to select: buy stop and sell stop. These are the two types of orders that we're placing for the easiest NB. So for starters, we're going to start with buy stop. So tap on buy stop, then you'll be taken to a similar page. Then here, since we've now selected buy stop, we can now move on to lot size. Now, assuming you've calculated the lot size 1.00, you can leave it like that, 1.00. Then we're going to move on to price. Now, if you still remember what a buy stop and sell stop are, these are future trades that you're placing. You're telling your broker to place a trade for you when price reaches a certain point. Now, to specify the point at which you want your broker to place the trade for you, you focus on price here. This is the point where you want your broker to actually place the buy for you in our case, since this is the buy per setting up. So price, what you do is click on the plus. Then what that does is it gets this number here on the right, and it's going to drop it down here for you. Most of the times when the market is open, these numbers here, they move pretty quickly. Now it might be difficult for you to get one number here that you can use to actually add the 10 pips to. Now to make things simpler, just click on the plus, then it's going to capture one number for you, and it's going to bring it down here for you. Then from there is where you can now start modifying that price. From there is when you can start modifying the price, which tells your broker that after price reaches this point, place the buy for us. Now, initially when you click the plus and this price is brought down here, that's where you now add the 10 pips to it. Now, if we look at price, this is how the price is going to be, assuming it's what has been brought down here. This is the price that we add the 10 pips to. Now, when it comes to adding 10 pips, what we always do is ignore the last decimal place here. It's basically useless for us. So we ignore it, and we now start adding the pips to these decimal places here. So what we're going to do is basic math now. So we're going to add a 1 here and a 0 here, which is 10 overall, which is 1, 0, which is 10. Then we're going to add here. So when you add, the total price is going to be 1.1781. You're following? Is everyone following?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So the total price is going to be 1.1781. That price is what you modify the price. That's going to be here too. So since you click on the plus, it will get this number, bring it here. So that number that's going to be here, so that number, modify it to 1.1781. Then after modifying it, you're going to ignore this part and this part and this part. So you're going to ignore this whole part, and you're going to come and click place at the bottom here. So that's pretty much it for that step. So after selecting the type of order you want to place, just focus on lot size and the price of entry. Then when you're done with those two things, just place the order immediately. So after placing the order, you'll be taken back to this page, the trade section here, because this is where you're able to see your positions under positions here. So when you're done the buy stop, you'll see it here. It will be pending. Now, after doing all this, we're halfway done. We now need to place a sell stop. So we repeat the same steps all over again. Click on the plus, and then we'll be taken to this part where we now edit the type of order. You click on it in the drop-down menu. We're done with buy stop. We can now move on to sell stop. So sell stop is what we click on. It will be a similar page as the buy stop. except this time, we're going to be clicking the minus here. Of course, after entering the same lot size, which is lot size 1.00. So after doing that, click on the minus. Then the minus does the same thing that the plus does. It gets this number on the left and it brings it down here for you. Now from here is where we now subtract 10 pips. So one thing to note is for buy stops, we add 10 pips. Then for sell stops, we subtract 10 pips. I hope you're following. Everyone's on the same page?
Yes, yes. I am.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, click on the plus. This number is going to be brought down here. Then from there, we can now subtract 10 pips. So just like we did before, we ignore the last decimal place here. Then we're going to put the 1 here and the 0 here. Basic mathematics. So when you subtract 10 pips to this, the total price is going to be 1.1759. 1.1759. That's the number that we edit the number here to. So after matching the numbers, we're going to ignore this whole part, just like we did before. And we're going to click on place, just like that. Then when that's done, you'll be taken back to the trade section. And now you'll be able to see that you've placed 2 positions, one for buy stop and a second for sell stop, and so on. Now, all this is supposed to be done within 1 minute. So for each position, you've got 30 seconds to execute them. So you've got 30 seconds to place a buy stop and 30 seconds to place a sell stop. This is why you need to practice so that you can get your time down to as low as possible. If you're able to do it within 5 seconds for each of them, that will help you out even more, much better. So this 1 minute that I'm talking about, let's say we're going to trade this news event here. The event is happening at 14:30. At 14:29, that's when you start executing with the buy stops and the sell stops. So that the moment 14:30 clocks, we'll be ready for prices movement, regardless of the direction. I hope everything's adding up now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's how you execute the easiest NB. Like I said before, you've got 30 seconds for each position. So 30 seconds for buy stop and 30 seconds to place a sell stop. It should never be beyond 1 minute. It should always be 1 minute or below. So if you're fast enough to even execute all this 10 seconds before 14:30 or whatever time the news event is going to happen, that will be beneficial to you. So you just need to keep practicing so I can get time down to as low as possible. Then for the lot size here, the lot size, I'll send you guys a link to one of my YouTube videos showing you how to calculate lot sizes. For the lot size, you can even calculate it like 5 minutes before the news event happens. So don't worry. When it comes to executing, you're just basically pasting the lot size that you calculated 5 minutes before, and so on. So yeah, just remind me to send you the link when this lesson is done. Oh, I think I already sent them. Did I? Did I send them? No, I didn't. Okay, I'll send you the link after this lesson, don't worry. Anyway, are there any more questions before we move on to the next strategy?
Okay, I'm okay.
You've understood?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm all right. I'm all right.
Okay, that's good. What about you, Chileshe? Is everything clear?
Everything's okay.
Okay, all right, that's good. All right, so moving on to the extreme SNB. Now, just to quickly go over how to execute it. Like I said yesterday, it requires 2 accounts. And in one account, we're going to place a buy. And in the other account, we're going to place a sell. So we'll be working with two accounts at the same time. Now, what you guys will be required to do is create an account with Hotforex and an account with Just Forex. These are just brokers. They'll be the companies that will be forwarding the trades for you. They are basically the middleman between you and the market. So yeah, you'll be required to make an account with Hotforex and Just Forex. Then you're going to link them to this MetaTrader app. But when it comes to linking them, you're supposed to work with two MetaTrader applications. If you're on Android, there's an application called Geospace that allows you to duplicate this same app. So within your phone or within one phone, you can have two copies of MetaTrader, of the app MetaTrader. So in one MetaTrader, you're going to link Hotforex. Then the other one, the duplicate, you can link Just Forex and so on. So that when the event clocks, you'll just be switching between the two applications. So in one account, you're going to place a buy, and in the other one, you're going to place a sell, and so on. Then for iPhone, there's no app that allows you to duplicate apps on iPhone. So what you do for iPhone is you download MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. That way you have two MetaTraders within a single phone. So you're going to place a buy on one and a sell in the other one, and so on, just like that. I hope everything's making sense so far.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, moving on to the extreme. Just remember one buy and one sell and two accounts. So starting from the trade section here, to place a trade, we repeat the same steps as before. Click on the SIM card looking icon, then you'll be brought to this page here. Now, by default, instant execution or market execution is going to be selected for you. And preferably for the extreme SMB, this is the type of order that we want. So I'm going to leave it like that because it's selected for us by default. So instant execution, that's what we're going to leave here. We can now move on to the lot size. Now, assuming you've calculated the lot size to be lot size 1.00, we're also going to leave it like that. But if your lot size is lot size 5 that you've calculated, you can just simply change that to 5.00. Or if you calculated 0.25, you can just make a small modification here to make it 0.25 and so on, just like that. So after entering the lot size, we're going to skip this. Just like we did for the buy stops and the sell stops, we're going to skip this. I'll explain why we skip this in a bit, but for now, just remember that we skip this. Then in the first account, we're going to click on sell. Then after placing the sell in this account, we're going to switch. We're going to switch to the other MetaTrader. So you tap the multitask button here, then you go to the other account. Then you're going to repeat the same steps as well for that account. So click on the SIM card looking icon in the trade section. Then you're going to leave this option here, instant execution or market execution. Then you're going to move on to the lot size. The lot size, if you calculate the lot size to be lot size 1.00, leave it like that. But if your lot size was 0.25 that you calculated, just change that. Make sure both accounts have got the same lot size. So just change that to 0.25. Then this time we're going to place a buy. Since in the other account we placed a sell, for this account, we're going to select buy. So just like this, we placed one buy for one account and one sell for the other account. So in both accounts, there's opposite trades. There's opposing trades and so on. I hope everything's clear so far.
Yes.
We're good, Chileshe? We can move on.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, so this is how you execute the extreme SNB. So we basically don't put stop losses and take profits or any deviations or expirations or anything like that. The reason why is because for this, we want to execute this as fast as possible. Now, if we start calculating lots, stop losses and when to take our profits or deviations or when the trade should expire, all this might chew into our 30 seconds because remember, we only have 30 seconds for each buy and each sell, as well as buy stops and sell stops. We only have 30 seconds for each. Now, if we start calculating this, we start calculating that, deviation, everything, it might overwhelm you and delay you at the end. So it's just best you skip all this and you move on to actually placing the trade and so on. So yeah, that's how we skip that. And this is how we execute the extreme SMB. So just like it was for the easy SMB, 30 seconds for each. For this as well, there's 30 seconds for each. So 30 seconds for each place a sell and 30 seconds for each place buy and so on. But like I said before, if you're able to do this within 5 seconds before the news event happens, this will be beneficial for you because you get to skip all the movements and spread that brokers usually do before any event happens. So yeah, this is the extreme SMB. I'm sure everything's clear now.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so moving on. So that's the trade section. This part here is the history. History, I don't have. I have a slide for history. Yes, I do. So for history, it just shows you your history basically. So it shows you your history of the deposits, your balance. If you made any withdrawals, it also shows you as well. And it also shows you previous trades that you had open, but are now closed. So if you close 10 trades, it's going to show you 10 trades and you can select what time frames you want. If you want to see the trades in the last 7 days, it will give you a list. In the last 30 days, to give you a list and so on, just like that. Then for the next tabs, messages and news, these are not important to us. So these are the 4 that you'll be focusing on. As for messages and news, they are pretty much useless to us. I've never really used those before, so it's not important. Moving on to the next part of our course, investing.com. Investing.com is an app that we use to know when exactly news events are going to be happening. This is how the app looks. Now, when you first open the app, it will bring you most likely on markets. Now, the most important tab that we're going to be focusing on is the calendars here. So calendars shows us news events, when they're going to happen, the strength of the news event, the currency of the news event, and the flag of the country where the news event is happening. Then besides that, it actually gives us details about the news event. So there's the title and there's the performance here of how the news event will perform and so on. So yeah, at the top, it shows you overviews. So there's daily overviews like yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Then besides that, there's weekly overviews. So you can see what events are happening this whole week and even up to next week and so on, just like that. But when you first install this application, you need to filter it so that it only shows you events with 3 bulls. Events with 3 bulls in them here. Now, 3 bulls just means that these are the most powerful, most volatile news events that happen. So we need to filter out the low events and the medium strength events. Now to filter it, just click on the funnel icon at the top here, and you're going to see 3 options here. So there'll be an option for low, medium, and high. They'll all be checked. All 3 of them will be checked. So you need to uncheck low and uncheck medium. The only option you should leave checked is the last one with 3 bulls, the high impact news events. That's the one you should leave checked. Then from there on, if you save, you'll notice that all the events will be seen from there on is three bull events and so on. So yeah, this is investing.com. Now, how to pick a currency pair. For example, this news event, or rather, okay, I'm going to give you two examples of how to pick currency pairs. The first example is based on news events that happen in the US, or rather that are USD. Now, to pick a currency pair for events that are happening in the US, we go back to the code section of MetaTrader here, which is the first page that you land on when you open the app. So in the code section, we now look at the news. Sorry, let me just move this out of the way. What we do is we now look at currency pairs that have got USD in them. So these three have, this one has, this one has, this one has, this one has, these ones don't have USD in them. Now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 currency pairs we could potentially use for news events happening in the US because they all have USD. So they'll all move, but we want the one that's going to move the most, or the one that will make the most amount of money from. Now, to filter out the events, the currency pairs that don't move that much, or rather that won't make us as much money, the first step is to compare their spreads here. As you can see, the spread, then this one is spread 19. Now, spread is just the commission that you pay your broker. So the higher the spread, the higher the amount of money, or the more money you're going to be paying your broker. Now, obviously, the more money you pay, the less profit you make. So preferably, you want this number to be as low as possible. So this one is 19, this one's 20, 22, 27, 23, 37, and 19. So out of this whole list here, Euro USD and AUD USD have got the least. They have the lowest spread. Now, we're down to 2 options from 7 options. We're down to Euro USD and AUD USD. Now, between these 2 currency pairs, we only want one. Now, how to actually narrow it down some more is now to compare the actual currencies within the currency pair. This one has euros, this one has Australian dollars. Now, euros against Australian dollars. Obviously, euros is more widely used in the world. So with euros, you will see more activity than you would with AUD USD. Now, more activity means more profit for us. Because if Euro USD moves more than AUD USD, that means we'll make more money because more pips, more money for us, and so on. So our go-to currency pair is going to be this one, Euro USD, and so on. Just like that. I hope everyone has understood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm then being told the meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now to remove the photo. Okay, 10 minutes is fine. So that's investing.com, and that's the first example. Now moving on to the second example. The second example is based on currency on news events that aren't happening in the US, like this one and this one, or NZD events, GBP events, and any other news events like CAD. All these events are not happening in the US. That's what this example is based on. Now, this one is pretty easy. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is get the currency here. In this case, it's euros. Then you're going to pair it with USD. So for events happening in Europe, we get euros, and we're going to pair it with USD. So preferably for this news event, we're going to use euros stroke USD. That's the currency pair we're going to use for this one. Then the same rule applies with any other event happening elsewhere that's not in the US. We get the currency, and then we're going to pair it with USD. So for this event happening in Australia, we're going to use AUD stroke USD, just like that. If this was showing GBP, would have been using GBP stroke USD and so on, just like that. So yeah, as long as it's got USD in it, that's what you pair it with, and that's the currency pair that you go for. Now, the reason why it's USD and not any other currency is because USD is the most used currency in the world. Everyone accepts USD. So with it, you're going to see the most amount of activity by pairing it with USD as opposed to like JPY or any other funny currency and so on. So yeah, that's the second example. Are there any questions on any example?
No questions.
Everything's clear?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so moving on to the last part of our lesson is this. I use an application called Google Clock. What this app does is it just shows you seconds when it comes to time. So as you can see, my default clock there at the top, it doesn't show seconds. So I download this app and I use it to keep track of how many seconds I'm left to a news event. Now, like I said before, 1 minute is when you start executing the trades. 1 minute for the news event is when you start executing the trades. The buy stops, the sell stops, placing the buys and placing the sells. That's when you start doing all this stuff. Now, for you beginners, this app or pretty much any other app that shows seconds will help you out because you'll be able to time yourself on how fast you're able to do these things and so on. So yeah, you can get this app, but to use this app, you have to enable this option in settings, display time settings. That's when it starts showing you seconds here and so on. So yeah, you could pretty much use any app that shows seconds, but for me, this is the app that I use. All right, so from the slides that we've gone through, everything is clear. Are there any questions before we end the lesson?
Okay, so just a quick one. So which one do you strongly recommend between the first one or the second strategy?
I recommend the second one because that one is more profitable. The extreme, where is it? Here. It's more profitable.
And what amount of
The
amount
minimum
is there, like,
deposit?
yes.
You could start with $10. So for extreme, if you got a total of $10, you can deposit $5 in Hotforex and $5 in just Forex. Then just like that, you place one buy, one sell for each account. In one account, and the buy and the other one is sell, and so on, just like that. Then for the easy, the same thing applies. So within that one account, you could start with $5 or $10. It's really up to you.
Okay.
I hope that answers such a question.
So in this extreme sell and buy strategy, when the other one sells and the other one buys, do you need to aim for a certain profit amount?
For that, no. What you're supposed to be doing is the moment you see that one position, or rather the moment you see blue everywhere, like there's blue here, there's blue here, there's blue everywhere, that's when you start closing your trades. The reason why is because when everything turns blue, it's most likely reached its maximum height or its maximum depth. So the moment you see blue, just close immediately. Don't get greedy while you start waiting for your profits to increase, because price reverses sometimes. So you can find that from $1,000 profit, you now have $10 in your account, which would suck. So yeah, you just get what you're given basically. When everything turns blue, you close.
So holding is not recommended.
No, don't hold. Don't hold. Don't worry. The moment you see blue, just close and move on to the next event.
No, okay, all right. Okay, I'll allow maybe Chileshe. He's got some other questions.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Chileshe?
Everything is clear. It's all right.
Okay. All right. So next, what I'll do is I'll send you guys links to the accounts that you need to create. There's 2 accounts you guys need to create. One account with Hotforex and another account with just Forex. So just create those. Then they'll ask you to submit NRCs and bank statements for proof of identification and proof of address. So after, excuse me, after I submit those documents, that's when they'll allow you to be able to use the account to trade with. So yeah, the links that I've sent, just create the account, submit the documents. Then from there, I think you guys will be pretty much ready. But you need to be practicing first so that you can get your time down to as low as possible. Then from there on is when you can now start using real money. So for starters, you'll be using a demo account. Then when you're confident enough to go live, to start using real money, that's when you can start using real money. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, just let me know on WhatsApp, then we can pick things up from there. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure everything's good. No one has questions so far, yeah?
Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay.
No questions.
Okay. All right. So that's the end of the lesson. What I'll do is I'll upload today's session and yesterday's session to my YouTube channel. Then when they're done uploading, I'll send you guys links so that you can go over the same stuff that we're going through whenever you like.
Okay.
All right. It was good having you guys. Let me just send you the links. Then yeah, we can pick things up from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr.
All right.